Lillahi ta'ala. All right, we're going to start with the text of Al-Bayquniyyah today, insha'Allah ta'ala. We actually started last week, but actually last week I was tired. I was drowsy, and when I listened back to the recording, there were many slips in there. So I'm going to start over. From the beginning of the text here, the author says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. أبدأ بالحمد مصليا على محمد خير نبي أرسلا. I start with the praise, with hamd, the praise of God, as someone who makes salah on Muhammad, the best prophet sent.
I wanted to ask you a question. Are
Yes,
you gonna read the sharah in Arabic?
I've planned on just reading the metin for now,
Okay, thank
and
you. Barakallah.
inshallah, ameen wa fikum, and inshallah, I'll pull out of the sharh when I need something.
Okay.
So he says, Abda'u bilhamd. I start with the praise of Allah. Musalliyan, as someone who makes salah. Musalli is an adjective. The one who makes salah is a musalli. And the place where you pray is a musalla. So you are a musalli. A female is musalliya. As a musalliyan ala Muhammad, I start with the praise as someone who makes salah on Muhammad. Khayri nabiyyin ursila, the best prophet ever sent. So that's his introduction. وذي من أقسام الحديث عدة وكل واحد وكل واحد أتى وحده. And these are the divisions of hadith in number, counted. These are the numbers, these are the divisions of, these are some of the divisions of the hadith counted. These, what's these? That's a pointing noun, So it's pointing at something. What's pointing at? We just started. So either it's pointing at what the author has in mind and he didn't write it yet, or he already wrote his text and then he went back and put this introduction. When he wrote his text, then he went back and put this introduction and he said, these that I already wrote already. So he says these either means what's in his mind that he's going to produce for you, or it means something that he wrote already. وَذِي مِنْ أَقْسَامِ الْحَدِيثِ عِدَّةٌ. And these are amongst the divisions of the hadith, counted or in number. And he says here, min aqsamil hadith, some of the types of hadith, because he doesn't mention all the kinds of hadith in this text, in this brief beginner's text. But he does give you what you need to start, to have comprehension of the field or of the topic, let's say. وَذِي مِنْ أَقْسَامِ الْحَدِيثِ عِدَّةٌ, meaning 34 kinds. يعني 34 كما سيذكر آخرا. 34 kinds he's going to list for us. وَكُلُّ وَاحِدٍ أَتَى وَحَدَّهُ. And each one comes with its definition. This wow here means with. It's wow al-ma'iyyah. أولها الصحيح وهو ما اتصل إسناده ولم يشذ أو يعل يرويه عدل ضابط عن مثله معتمد في ضبطه ونقله. So he starts by giving us the authentic hadith. أولها الصحيح. The first kind is the sahih. Why did he start there? Like they usually do. Actually, this is how they usually start. Because the Sahih hadith is the one that we want. The authentic hadith is the diamond we are searching for. So we start there. But that's not how Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani started in Nukhbatul Fikr. If you remember, review Nukhbatul Fikr, inshallah ta'ala. We typed up the whole thing, but I never got around to editing it. We typed up all the lessons. Yani, who typed it up did. May Allah reward that one. Ameen. May Allah give that one 1,000 rewards for each push of a button. Ameen. Awwaluha Sahih. So the first of them, the first type out of the 34 is the Sahih. Wahuwa mattasal. And it is. Wahuwa. It is mattasal. Isnaduhu. Walam yashudha aw yu'al. So he gave its conditions. To define it, he gave its conditions. It is mattasala isnaduhu. That's one thing. Walam yashudha. And that's two. Aw yu'al. That's three. Yarwihi adlun. That's four. Dabitun. That's five. Am mithlihi mu'tamadun fi dabtihi wa naqlihi. So here the author gave us 5 things. If they all exist, then the hadith would be an authentic one. It is mattasala isnaduhu, that which its chain of narration is connected, is continuous. No one is missing from the chain. Let me first translate and then I'll break some stuff down. Mattasala isnaduhu. Well, there's sukoon here because it's poem. Originally that's fatha. Mattasala. Past tense verb. But this is a poem, so the poet was able to put a sukoon there. Mattasal isnaduhu walam yashudha aw yu'al. So it is what? Its chain of narration is connected and was not irregular nor defective. Yarwihi adlun. It's narrated by a trustworthy one. Dabitun, and precise. An mithlihi, from someone like himself, from his likes. Mu'tamadun, this one is reliable. Fi dabtihi wa naqlihi, he is reliable in his precision and his logging, or his documentation, or his transmission. Okay, so authentic hadith. So to be authentic needs to have, first thing the author mentioned is connected chain. Very important. The chain of narration is a part of the religion. The scholar said, like Ibn al-Mubarak from the Salaf, لَوْلَا الْإِسْنَادِ لَقَالَ مَنْ شَاءَ مَا شَاءَ. Had it not been for the chain of narration, whoever wanted to say something would have said whatever he wanted to say. So true. Don't underestimate the power of the isnad. And don't be intimidated by some person who makes it out to be a joke. The hadith deniers, they make it out to be a joke. They draw those caricatures of like 2 funny looking guys, supposed to be Muslims, maybe with really, really big turbans on their heads, sitting facing each other with folded legs, and then someone saying, from so-and-so, from so-and-so, from so-and-so, from so-and-so, from so-and-so, from so-and-so, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. That is to depict, according to them, the ridiculousness of the notion of the chain of narration. And it's not the case. It's not ridiculous at all. And it is effective. You would ask a person, where'd you hear this from? Who told you that? And he'd say, are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. Who told you that? What does it matter who told me? Rafiq, no problem. He sees this question as frivolous and time-wasting. It's not really a time-wasting question. Really, it's a question that's going to ruin his ability to lie to you. So he doesn't want you to ask him. This question is a very strong question. Ruins his ability to deceive you. Well, why are you asking me who told me? Because I want to know. And then he's going to tell you, you don't even know who told me. Okay, well, tell me who he is. I'm asking you. And he's not going to want to tell you. Why? Because he's lying to you. Like that person who wanted to argue with me about whether the earth moves or not. And the earth doesn't move. That topic is not from this science, but I think that person is a hadith denier just because of his stance. When I asked him, when he was saying some stuff, I said, well, who told you? Who told you these things? So he thinks it's a stupid question. No one would think it's a stupid question who is a Sunni Muslim who believes in hadiths and knows about chain of narration. Or someone also called me. He said to me, so-and-so said such and such. He kept the bad news for last. So I told him, well, who did he say he told that? Who told him that? He said, you. Never heard it from me. Never said such a thing. So the chain of narration, very important thing. And we'll come back to talk more details about it, insha'Allah ta'ala. Had it not been for the chain of narration, whoever wanted to say something would say whatever he wanted to say. وَهُوَ مَتَّصَلْ إِسْنَادُهُ وَلَمْ يَشُذَّ أَوْ يُعَلْ. Its chain of narration is connected, is continuous. And it lam yashudda. It's not irregular. It's not anomalous. This means anomalous means that by itself this report checks out. Without looking at something else, the report checks out. Meaning the text of the report by itself, there's nothing apparently wrong with it. And the people in the chain of narration, they all check out. The chain of narration is fine. There's nothing that goes against the religion in the text. So it should be acceptable, except that it's not acceptable when compared to another text. We find that this, what looks like an acceptable text, is contrary to another acceptable text. And two acceptable texts cannot contradict each other. So now we need to look. Is there anything that gives strength to one over the other? Is there something that enables us to disregard one of them and keep one of them? Because we can't keep both of them. If, for example, one of them has stronger narrator, then you're going to take the one with the stronger narrator. Or one of them has more narrators, then you're going to take the one that has more narrators, because it's unlikely that the weaker narrator is more accurate than the stronger one. Unlikely, not impossible, but unlikely. And it's unlikely that the single narrator is more accurate than a group of narrators. It's more likely that a group is going to be, a group who's saying the same thing is going to be more accurate than one person who's saying something contrary. So that's just to give you an idea that sometimes you need something to weigh against the other so that you can take one over the other. Had it not been for the other, you would have taken it. But you can't take it because it stands in contradiction with something else. So if I said something and Sheikh Samir said contrary, then most likely you're going to take what Sheikh Samir said, stronger narrator. Or someone said something, it's contrary to what a Shafi'i said, or not just said, but narrated. Someone narrates something contrary to what a Shafi'i narrates, or contrary to what Abu Hanifa narrates. Then we cannot put these two reports together. So then we're going to go with the stronger one, or we're going to go with the more numerous ones. Although that one that we're not accepting in this instance, he is an acceptable one. So when you come across the case of someone with an acceptable narration, but we're going to reject his narration, when we reject the narration of the acceptable narrator, and this narration by itself doesn't appear to have anything wrong with it, but there must be something wrong with it since it's contrary to something stronger, then this is called shadh. It's irregular or anomalous. So, an authentic hadith is not irregular. Yani, it doesn't go against something more reliable. Oh, yu'al. Nor is it defective. It's not defective by some sort of defect. There's all sorts of defects, like rearranging the words or combining two different reports into one, or dropping words out, or dropping a narrator out of a chain, or adding a narrator to the chain, and all sorts of defects. The scholars have sifted through these thousands and thousands of reports, hundreds of thousands of reports. And they studied these reports and they became experts in these reports and they memorized them to the extent that they discovered all the defects there could be. I mean, all the kinds of defects there could be. The authentic hadith does not have an effective defect. Effective? Wait a minute. First, you just said doesn't have a defect. Now you're saying effective defect. Effective is a qualifier. And someone might say to me, you're the one who told us whenever there's a qualifier, there should be a reason for it. So why are you saying effective defect and not just any defect? Because, yeah, it's true. An authentic hadith could have a defect of some sort in it. It could, possibly. And that defect will not render the hadith not authentic. It could still be authentic, even with a defect in it. The scholars of hadith know those defects. So they would discover and say, wait, there's a defect in this hadith. However, we know this hadith is authentic despite this defect here. This right here is a defect, but the hadith is authentic one. So, for example, easy example is when someone was giving his chain of narration, he narrated from Abdul Rahman instead of Abdul Rahim. Or he narrated from Abdul Ghaffur instead of Abdul Ghaffar. Abdul Ghaffur instead of Abdul Ghaffar. But both of them trustworthy. Whichever one he did hear from, it's a trustworthy one. Whether he heard from Abdul Ghaffur or he heard from Abdul Ghaffar, it's going to be a reliable hadith. But he made a mistake and said the wrong ones. And therefore there's a defect in the report. But it's not an effective defect. يرويه عدل ضابط عن مثله. This hadith would be narrated by an adl. Adl means reliable, trustworthy, upright. When it comes to the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, all of them in hadith narration are adl. Every single one of them is adl, is trustworthy in his hadith narration, and not a single companion would lie on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But trustworthiness alone is not enough for hadith narration, or like we said, the transmission of the knowledge in general. We said last time, this is hadith science, but really the whole knowledge of the religion is transmitted in this way. And although we're saying hadith, you can, in many, many cases, just replace the word hadith with the knowledge. And it would be true what we're saying about the knowledge in general, the transmission of the knowledge, I mean. And adl, when it comes to the hadiths of the Prophet, every companion is adl, trustworthy. He doesn't lie on the Prophet. And that still doesn't even mean that he wouldn't make a mistake. Could make a mistake. He could forget what the Prophet said. That's all possible. But he won't lie on the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. And someone who's not a companion is not automatically adl when it comes to the narration. When it comes to narration of hadith, he's not automatically adl. The adl is the one who, he's a Muslim who avoids major sin, avoids the outward major sin, the major sin which is misbehavior. He avoids the outward major sin which is misbehavior. Outward major sin, there's another qualifier. Whenever there's a qualifier, there should be a reason why you said outward major sin and not just major sin. Because is there something called an inward major sin? Yes. What's that? Inward major sin would mean here someone has bad beliefs. Has bad beliefs. Bad belief is always a major sin or kufr. Deviated belief is either major sin or kufr. So why are we excluding him from hadith here? Why are we not including him here? Why we want to exclude the one who has outward major sin, not inward major sin? Because this one who has inward major sin, that's another case. This is delicate case here. Because possible that there's a person, he has a wrong belief about something. He has a mistake in his creed about something. But it doesn't make him a kafir. And despite that, he actually would be honest. And he would be religious outwardly. Like he won't miss his prayer. He wants to pray. He won't miss his prayer. It doesn't drink. He doesn't lie. And for example, he will get married. He won't be with a woman without being married, etc. So outwardly, what he displays outwardly is as if he is trustworthy. But inwardly, he has a blunder in his creed somewhere. This blunder, it would in reality make him a major sinner. But here, when it comes to the narration, since he is honest, he's not a liar, and he is, besides his blunder in his creed, righteous in his deeds outwardly. He prays, he fasts, gets married, etc. Not going to be not righteous for not getting married, but you know what I mean when I say he gets married. He avoids haram is what I mean. Then this one, his hadiths can still be acceptable. That's the case of riwayatul mubtadi', the narration of a heretic. Can the narration from a heretic be accepted? It's possible. It is possible. Can we take a position that we will not accept the narration from any heretic at all? Zero heretics we will not accept? We cannot. Actually, we can't. Why not? Because even Bukhari narrates from heretics sometimes. So Bukhari, who has the most authentic book after the book of Allah, Bukhari saw that the heretic in some instances can be relied upon, then we're not going to take stance that he can never be relied upon. Yarwihi adlun dabitun, and dabit means precise, so that's different from pious or righteous or upright. Dabit is the accurate one, very, very important. The precision is very, very important, the accuracy. And since we're talking about Sahih Hadith, then we're talking about the strongest level of accuracy. The strongest level of accuracy being that one memorizes his knowledge, his hadiths in particular. He memorizes his hadiths to the point that he can recall them whenever he wishes. Imagine a person who can recall Sahih al-Bukhari, the whole Sahih al-Bukhari, anything in Sahih al-Bukhari, like Al-Fatiha. How difficult is it for you to recall Al-Fatiha? It's not difficult. Allah Ta'ala created people who can recall anything. In Al-Bukhari, not just Bukhari, Al-Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, and more than that. We're talking thousands. We're talking thousands, yani tens of thousands of hadiths. All those tens of thousands of hadiths, any one of them, he can recall anytime he wants. And we're not talking about just the metan, just the text of the hadith here, even the chain of narration. It's heavy duty stuff there. That's why some scholars said, every book in this library is on the tip of my tongue. SubhanAllah. I remember when studying overseas and memorizing constantly memorizing, every day memorizing. It's a nice thing to be able to just pull stuff out. Just like from this book, that book, just off the top of your head. SubhanAllah. As for the kuffar, they look down on memorization. They look down on memorization, even kuffar who are educators. The Sheikh Abdullah, Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Salam said that. Barakallahu feekum. Even kuffar who are educators, they say memorization. That's because of their own laziness. They wouldn't memorize themselves, so they're not going to charge you with memorizing either. Because memorizing takes time, takes effort. When you study, if you study in Mahad, for example, or Jami'ah, yani Islamic way, and you have to memorize, my suggestion for you is get your homework out of the way, get your practice out of the way, get all that out of the way. Might take an hour or two. Get that out of the way, and then spend the rest of all of your hours memorizing. Because memorizing needs all of that time. It takes dedication. Only someone who's good at what he does, and he knows that part of why he's good at what he does because he memorized what he has, then he knows the benefit of memorization. Each one of you is good at something. So if what you're good at has anything to do with the fact that you've memorized something, then that tells you the benefit of memory. Even someone who plays video games, shooting through all these stages because he knows where everything is, how everything is. So he just memorized everything. He did it so many times. So, يرويه عدل ضابط عن مثله. It's narrated by, an authentic hadith is narrated by an adl, trustworthy, a ضابط, precise, عن مثله. This precise one, his mistakes are rare. SubhanAllah. One of us who strives to be precise, when he makes a mistake, he might be embarrassed. For like any person who's not like that, he doesn't care if he makes a mistake. It's not even important for him to be accurate. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. More an mithlihi. So this person, he has both qualities. He's adl and dabit. He's upright and accurate. Narrates from his likes. And you might have a good memory without knowing. Put yourself to the test, and then you find, inshallah, you have a good memory. I didn't used to know I had good memory when I was young. And now it just occurs to me too. You know, all those movie people, actors in TV shows, they memorize a lot. Look, all of that, what they memorize with no reward, and on Judgment Day, it will be nothing. It won't be worth anything. If anything's going to be haram on them, they're going to have sins out of there from anything that was sinful in there. Subhanallah. I was taking a lesson from one of the sheikhs. I'm not going to say who he is. He's very nice, very good sheikh. I love his lessons. Very beneficial. And I learn a lot. MashaAllah. I'm listening to him. I know that I think that for sure he has strong memory, that's for sure. But I think really has very strong memory because I can see like when he's talking, a lot of times he's pulling stuff out of the books, but he just inserts it inside of his talk. It's like he's just talking, but he'll be saying something that's from As-Siratul Mustaqim, or he'll be saying something that's from another book. He'll be saying something from Tahawi, something from Nasafi, but he weaves it into his talk. He doesn't say, Al-Tahawi said, and Nasafi said, the Shaykh says, he's just talking. So then I said, I think this one has lots of hifz, mashallah, which would explain why his lessons are so nice too. So, يرويه عدل ضابط عن مثله. It's narrated by a precise, by an upright, precise one. عن مثله, from his likes, from someone like him. معتمد في ضبطه ونقله, someone who's reliable in his precision and his transmission. So that's why you're not going to be shy to say, I don't know, because that's just going to add to your precision so that a person can rely on you. When they ask you and you don't know, then they're not afraid that you're going to tell them something wrong. Subhanallah. What we have just described here is hadith that's authentic by consensus. This is hadith that's authentic by consensus, fulfilling all these conditions here. That's what he says here. Al-mujma' ala sihhatihi 'inda al-muhaddithin. That is to say that there could be some scholars who would deem a hadith authentic for less than this. For less than this. According to him, still authentic. But this here is authentic according to everyone. So when we say, وَهُوَ مَتَّصَلْ إِسْنَادُهُ, it is what its chain of narration is connected. Then this means fundamentally each narrator heard from the narrator before him. Heard. That's the strongest way to get knowledge, by hearing, not by reading. It's another thing. You're going to see some people say, you need to read. I'd say to him, you need to learn. You need to sit with a teacher, not you need to read. Some of you are, for example, nurses. So do you think a person's going to become a nurse by reading only? Or needs to learn, needs someone, train with someone? Same thing. Or some of you know other things. So we will come, inshallah, to talk about scenarios in which there's a break in the chain, an interruption in the chain. And I already explained to you what it means to be anomalous. And I already talked to you about the defects. And I spoke to you about the adala, the trustworthiness. The trustworthiness is a talent, actually. It's a talent. Being trustworthy. Avoiding the major sins, avoiding the major sins, and avoiding doing minor sins to the extent that they are more than your good deeds. And adhering to the manners of the people of your status. If you do that, you will have virtue. This is virtuous. Adala. The muru'ah is the virtue. And you don't have to be a freeman to be trustworthy and virtuous. A slave man or a slave woman, a man or a woman, free or slave, can be upright and virtuous. That's how Islam is. As for the kuffar, really they look down on the women and they look down on the slaves. The trustworthy, upright person is clear of what hinders his virtue, like major sin, or even like some things that are not haram, even some things that are not haram, but they do interfere with one's virtue, such as being a constant joker. That means telling a lot of jokes. So don't tell a lot of jokes. Also, playing a lot of chess. Also, being a pigeon flyer. It's a hobby. It's not a sin. Some people, they have like pigeon coop on a rooftop somewhere and they play with pigeons and they fly the pigeons around in circles. So this affects one's muru'ah, his virtue. And for sure, we're not talking about someone unknown. We're not talking about someone unknown. Is someone you don't know trustworthy? A Muslim? Is a Muslim that you don't know trustworthy? In some things, such as he can be a witness for the marriage. You would say, brother, come. Can you come be a witness, please? Oh, by the way, who are you? That's valid. But when it comes to the knowledge, then if he's unknown to you, then you can be reluctant in taking what he's saying to you because you don't know if he's accurate. Is he accurate, one? And I told you about the Babit, the precise one who memorizes in such a way that he can recall his hadiths whenever he wants. And there's another level of precision, the level of the one who takes care of his books and he doesn't memorize on a grand scale like those other ones do. This one who takes care of his books, his notes are accurate, he checks his notes, then he protects his books. Then this one is Hasan narrator. This one's narration is a Hasan narration. A fair narration, acceptable. Wallahu a'lam. We'll stop there. The next one we'll talk about is the Hasan Hadith, insha'Allah ta'ala. Do you have any question I can answer for you? You said, I found in my notes from you that Tamim ibn Aus ad-Dari was not a Muslim when he saw ad-Dajjal. And when he came back, he sought the Prophet and told the Prophet what he saw, and he became Muslim. Yes. That's what I learned. So he took his narration as a Christian, but he became a Muslim, and the scholars, they talked about it. Is it valid to take the narration of a Muslim from what he acquired as a kafir? The answer is yes. A person's a kafir, he has something that could be conveyed as a kafir. As a kafir, we're not going to take from him. Then when he becomes a Muslim, we're going to take from him. What he acquired as a kafir, we can take from him as a Muslim. That's one thing. Another thing is, he told the Prophet about what the Prophet already knew anyway. That's right there is going to go back to putting facts together. Something you already know, and then a kafir comes and tells you something you already know, then you're going to say, for example, he's accurate here. Because I already know anyway. I didn't need him to tell me. Then it's going to be verified not by him, not by virtue of him. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.